All right, let's go ahead and pivot on over and talk a little bit about the Utah Jazz. All right, so when it comes to the discussion about your Utah Jazz, first thing we want to get into really is kind of how important this upcoming draft lottery is going to be. You know, on last show, we discussed worst case scenarios for the Utah Jazz.
Ouch.
One of the possibilities that you brought up for the Jazz in the draft was the fact that there was a chance they could get the number 5 overall pick. What we failed to mention, which was also brought up in the comments on that video, by the way, appreciate it. Thanks for throwing that in there. We actually have a 47.9% chance of getting the 5th pick.
Well, I think all the teams technically have that chance.
If you look at tankathon.com and it has breakdowns, we have 14, 13, 12, and then 10, and then the...
Right. It's always the highest chance to get that pick.
Yeah. Whoever is the best chances has also the best chances. It's like it was created specifically to kind of get rid of somebody trying to be the bottom team.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which is kind of, you know, it makes sense to me when my team's not trying to lose, but now that they're trying to lose, I don't agree with it, you know?
Yeah. It's like I want to be guaranteed the number 1 pick because if you just watched a 16-win season, you'd feel the exact same way.
Exactly. But keep in mind that does mean we have a 51% chance of getting a top 4 pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I wanted to talk about the importance of this. And this is the first time, man. This has never happened for the Utah Jazz in draft lottery history that we're in a position to have, you know, I mean, yeah, we've got Enes Kanter, the number 3 overall pick.
Enes Kanter.
Yeah, which was worse. And then, yes, we've had other top 5 picks. We got Darren Williams in a trade, you know, for a pick and stuff like that. But this is easily the most important one that we've ever had as a franchise coming into this draft lottery.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, the Jazz embraced the rebuild this year, right? The problem is we're still kind of looking for that long-term direction for this team. And that's been really frustrating, especially knowing like Cooper Flagg is all but in our grasp as far as like we did everything we could do, right? We were the worst team in the league. We showed it. And now it's like we want to be there and we want Cooper to be there. And let's make this happen so that we can kind of get this team moving in the correct direction, which is winning basketball games.
Yeah.
But I had a thought in our last segment as we were talking about Utah Hockey Club.
Way to keep both fingers down this time, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Utah Jazz and the Utah Hockey Club share an arena.
Yes.
Okay. And the Jazz have to lose because if their season was continuing through the playoffs, how are they going to start the rebuild in that season?
Stadium? Yeah.
It's going to take two off seasons for them to finish it.
Makes sense.
Is that a preliminary precursor to them tanking next year to make sure that they do not make the playoffs?
No, I don't think they would risk tanking. I don't think they would risk blowing a chance to earn playoff money just because they wanted to do an additional development on the building. You know, there's a lot of money that comes with home playoff games. I don't think they're going to put it, you know, it's something we talked about off air a lot, where we talked about the Dodgers and how they completely redid their entire clubhouses. They literally dug up the field from, you know, all the way up to the, you know, first baseline on both sides, went down 3 stories and completely rebuilt that, all from the last game of the World Series that was in LA to opening day in spring training.
And it was all the way done.
And it was completely done.
Yeah, it was insane.
At least on the field anyway. I see something similar, and this is Utah, man. We can get construction projects done pretty quickly around here if everybody's motivated.
And I guess worst case scenario, you're only delaying 5-6 weeks realistically. Yeah. I mean, unless you made a deep push into the playoffs where you're into June.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be an issue for this team. I think if the hockey club is in a position where they can make the playoffs, you're going to be okay with obstructed views one more year, you know, or vice versa with the Jazz.
50% obstructed, because half of them should be done after this year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, because right now they'll be able to add another 4,000.
I love the conspiracy theory though around that, you know, because there's a lot of reasons why the Jazz wouldn't want to win next year because of AJ DeBanza coming in and other, you know, extremely highly recruited.
I just thought about it in that last segment. I was just like, pump the brakes. I need to bring this up.
So you want to hear something interesting?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I was taking notes, I went to tankathon.com and I ran 5 simulations on the draft lottery. So in the first one I ran, Utah got the number 1 overall pick. The 76ers got the 2nd. The Spurs got the 3rd, which is totally unfair, jumping up 5 spots to get the number 3rd spot. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh, dude. I will lose my mind.
Victor Wembanyama, Cooper Flagg on the same dang team, man. That would just be so unfair. You know, if there's a conspiracy around the NBA helping a small market team, it's got to be the Spurs. Their draft lottery.
It sure as shit ain't the Jazz.
Close. Yeah, it's just insane. Charlotte got 4th, by the way. I ran this 5 times total. 2 times the Jazz got the number 1 overall spot. Twice they got the second spot once, but the other 2 times they finished 5th. That was just
so I mean, technically running that 100 times, only 14 times would they come up with the number 1 pick.
Yes. So that's kind of where I'm just saying on how I'd rate the importance of this draft, man. This, yes, if we don't get the number 1 overall pick and we end up with 1 through 4, it's going to be okay. But in all reality, it's like you mentioned, we as a franchise suffered a lot through this season as a fan base.
Yeah.
To not come out with the number 1 pick would just be another
it would be so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually nervous for May 12th in the draft lottery, because it's like, if we don't get this, like this of any franchise, I don't know. We could probably do a quick Google search, but I'm curious how many other NBA teams have never had a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of speaks to the Miller ownership group and how much they just didn't want to lose. And it was just push for wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were never in that position.
Absolutely. But we've had bad seasons though. And we've had times where we were right up there with, could have, you know what I mean? Like we've never moved up.
Pick, yeah. We've never gone up in odds. We've only dropped, and we've only held fast a couple times, but yeah, I don't know, man. It wouldn't. I'm pretty sure there are other teams. We know that the Utah Hockey Club is in the same situation when it comes to draft luck. They've never actually traded. They never got the odds go up in the draft either. So
yeah,
that's kind of serendipitous here. But yeah, man, I agree with you a little bit. Not a little bit, a whole lot of it. This is definitely an important time, and I think it's definitely got to be number 1. If it's not number 1, I'll be a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. The other 3 players in the top 4 are going to be great. Great additions to the team, probably are going to be all-stars at some point in the NBA.
Yeah, I totally agree.
As Jazz fans, we don't want to go through this one more year.
The importance of this draft particularly feels like this huge weight, because I mean, there was the pressure that we talked about last week on our episode. Make sure you check out that. What if, right? There's all these what if scenarios with Cooper Flagg. But if we can get Cooper Flagg and we can keep Lauri, and that's actually our next segment. But
yeah,
if we can make some of this happen and we can get this team turned around, I do believe we're in such a good position to be successful right now and start turning this team around. That feels like it's an even heavier burden, because it's like it's so far out of our hands. You know what I mean? Like a 14% chance is just not enough for what we just watched as Jazz fans.
Oh, for sure. That's for sure. Now let's go ahead and pivot on over and talk about that, because I definitely want to get into that. So the next subject I want to talk about is, let's say the stars align and we land Cooper Flagg and he decides not to opt out to go back to Duke. What then? Do we keep Kessler and Markkanen, or do we completely rebuild around Cooper Flagg? So
my opinion is you absolutely keep everything you got. We have some budding young talent. Cooper Flagg is an excellent defensive player. Now I want you to picture this starting 5 on the floor for the Utah Jazz.
Starting next year?
Yep. Starting next year, we get Cooper Flagg, right? So all the stars align. Everything's good. We got Isaiah Collier at 1, Cooper Flagg at 2, Taylor Hendricks at 3, Lauri Markkanen at 4, or however you want to switch that, right? And then Walker Kessler at 5. That defensively is one of the best lineups in the NBA.
Oh yeah.
Defensively, that is a fantastic lineup, because Isaiah Collier is a very serviceable defender. Cooper Flagg is a great defender. Taylor Hendricks is, I mean, we've seen the flashes of his great defensive play. Lauri Markkanen is just too long. Like, you're not just shooting the ball over him because he's 7 feet tall.
And he's like our main option on offense. So, he's not exactly running,
But having 4 players on the floor that are all great defensive options, you just move him to whoever's the least defensive threat.
Yeah.
So unless you've got 5 shooters on the floor, Lauri's good. And then you've got Walker Kessler, who's obviously Mr. Cleanup Man. He's going to, bring in all the rebounds. He's going to just continue to be a defensive force. Defensively, that starting 5 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you've still got some great weapons coming off the bench. I mean, that's assuming that Colin Sexton's not on the floor and he's coming off the bench for one of these guys. I mean, that still leaves Keontae George on the bench, Bryce Sensabaugh on the bench. I mean, even a Johnny Juzang, who became a very serviceable 3-point shooter at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, it looks like we got some depth. And if this team's trying to not, all of a sudden, we're not trying to lose ball games. I mean, just the things that this brings, the options, it completely changes the way you see the Jazz. And I would be very curious to see just how that impacts this team confidence wise, especially to have starting lineups and know, hey, you're not playing 28 tonight. You're playing 35.
Yeah. Imagine, I was just thinking about this. Imagine a pick and roll between Walker Kessler and Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Kessler will be the pick. right? And then he can either dive or Cooper, and then the defense is going to clap around Cooper because he's going to have the ball. Like they're going to have, and then Lauri can easily just step out and take a wide open three at the top of the key, and it could go both ways. Like he can like take the screen, and then Lauri can dive to the basket, and then Cooper can take a step back and shoot over whoever's guarding the pick and roll.
Yeah. And the thing is you can't go under that screen, or you can't go over that screen, or under the screen. Sorry. You can't go under that because Cooper can shoot it. Like all of a sudden you have so many options, and these guys are big, they're long, they're defensive.
I don't think the Jazz has ever had that lengthy of a team.
No. I mean, I think
can't remember ever.
When the shortest player on the court is Isaiah Collier at 6'3", you're in good shape.
Yeah. Well, you know my position on the short guards on this team. But yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, man. But the problem that I'm running into is that it was mentioned on the radio on ESPN 700 when they did an interview with a team that covers the team for KSL. Forget his name now, but if I can remember it, I'll link it down below. This team has been trying to trade away JC, John Collins, and Colin Sexton for like the last 3 trade deadlines. They just simply can't move these guys.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been like the same thing that he mentioned that the Jazz potentially could even start listening to offers on Lauri Markkanen as well. I don't see that happening now because he's got that big a contract, and I believe that the Jazz, he's got more value to Utah than he does anywhere else. So I don't see that happening, but he is eligible for trading now. So
now the big thing is, and this is just my opinion, if the Jazz don't move Cooper Flagg, now do you move Lauri? If they don't get Cooper Flagg, is the chances of moving Lauri just exponentially higher because his trade value, Lauri's 27 years old. He's hitting the peak years of his career. Do you risk losing the trade value for Lauri in his prime years, knowing you could potentially be in a rebuild for another 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to.
You almost have to move away from him, right? Walker Kessler's way younger.
Yeah, Kessler's fine. He's probably going to be easier to trade though because he's still on his rookie scale contract. So the cost, the player versus the value there in an analytics MBA is definitely going to be easier to move Kessler than it is going to be Lauri Markkanen. But I would have to agree with you. Lauri Markkanen on a team that's not trying to lose, where some of the offense goes through him. He's a 20-point night scorer, 6 rebounds, 5 assists type player.
I just don't know if Lauri wants to go through another one of these seasons.
Yeah. I don't think the Jazz can get away with trying to do what they did this year. We already got fined once for it.
And the thing is like all these injuries that they had this year, we know how that got us, and hopefully that would entail really healthy players moving into next season. We're going to have Taylor Hendricks back. This is going to be an elite team on defense, especially if we get the Cooper Flagg ad, right? But if we don't get Cooper, I think you would see Lauri's name pop up in almost every single trade possible, because the Jazz, I think, will have to move him in hopes of, okay, well, let's tank again and see if we can get AJ Dabansa, right? Like we got to do something. We've got to get a player in here, but that slows down the rebuild a ton, because now you don't just need one player. Now you need 2, possibly 3.
Right.
Right, because Lauri is the production of 1 to 2 players. But that's who he is. And I'm saying gravity weight, right? Like you can't just single guard Lauri Markkanen because he can, if you stay off of him, he's going to shoot it over you. Nobody can play him one-on-one because he's 7 feet tall. Everything lands on us getting Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, man. We land one of these other players. I don't know if they are going to be bad enough. They're not going to be good enough to compete in the West. Just not. But they're also not going to be bad enough to where, you're going to get away with this for another year. So I agree with you, man. Yeah, we want to hear from you folks. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below when it comes to the Utah Jazz and how important this offseason is going to be for this team. Also, let us know, what your hopes are in the odds of us landing Cooper Flagg. And let's say we do you build around him? Do you blow it up and build around him? Or do you stick with what we have, much to AJ's lineup build there? It's pretty slick. I like it. We want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments down below. Once again, folks, we did just start a channel specifically for your Utah Jazz content. It's called Utah Jazz DNA. It's a channel developed specifically for your Utah Jazz. All of our content will be posted here first. If you were watching this on our main channel, DNA Sports Recap, our channel to Utah Jazz DNA will be linked in the comments down below.
Boom. Make sure you find it, subscribe, hit that like button. We appreciate all the engagement.